Cave exploration, also known as spelunking, a growing interest in recent years. Exploring confined spaces and truly testing your body's limits. But safety must always be taken. In 1960, Dale Green and some friends were the first ever people to explore an, at the time, unnamed cave in Utah County. Inside was some soft brown, putty-like texture of clay, which is often found in sand. The texture is composed of silicon dioxide, and due to this, Dale Green nearly named it the Silly Putty Cave, but then decided on Nutty Putty. Over the years, it gained a huge interest from others involved in spelunking, with those fascinated by its various narrow and slippery passageways and awkward twists, turns and squeezes. The cave was formed upward with superheated water forming limestone and countless other minerals, making up a truly complex structure. To gain access, you would need to climb through a narrow surface hole and proceed through 1,400 feet or 430 meters of various chutes and tunnels. The cave was around 1,355 feet long and 145 feet deep. However, over the years, safety precautions weren't always taken. Around 5,000 people would travel the world to visit this cave every single year. Due to the amount of people climbing inside, it caused excessive smoothing of the rocks, which experts predicted would cause a fatality in the years that followed. Sure enough, 4 separate groups of explorers and Boy Scouts got stuck inside, but were able to be rescued. Most people would enter at night and failed to take the correct safety precautions. But by 2006, efforts were put into place to prevent so many people gaining access. The cave was temporarily closed on May the 24th that year, and a gate was installed to prevent explorers from getting in. However, many dedicated spelunkers cut their way through the gate to explore anyway. At the beginning of 2009, the land was taken over by proper management, and an entire application process was put into place in order to investigate the cave, to ensure that the correct safety measures were always being made prior to arriving. And on May the 18th, it was finally reopened to the public. John Edward Jones was a 26-year-old father whose wife was pregnant with his second child. A devout Christian from a large family of 5 boys and 2 girls with 16 nieces and nephews. John's family described him as being known for his good nature, delightful sense of humour, strong work ethic, genuine love for people, a masterful ability to relate to children, a love of and unwavering faith in the gospel of Jesus Christ, and his commitment to his family as an amazing husband, father, son and brother. John was studying to become a pediatric cardiologist, and although he had some caving experience, it was mostly from when he was younger. Regardless, on November the 24th, 2009 at around 8 p.m, John Edward Jones, his brother Josh and 9 of their friends arrived at the entrance of the Nutty Putty Cave, before heading inside. For the first hour, everything seemed fine, until John, Josh, and 2 of their friends decided to explore a famous part of the cave known as the birth canal. A narrow but navigable passageway that leads to a much wider area at the end for you to turn around in and head back through. And John decided to go first. It's unclear what truly happened next, geographically. Some believe that he took a wrong turning and completely missed the birth canal altogether, while others think he entered an area called Ed's Push, which is right next to it. If it was in fact Ed's Push, this passageway doesn't lead to a larger room. It only has 4 uncharted passageways in it, all of which are far too small for a human being to enter. What we do know for sure is that he believed it was the birth canal and climbed inside, but reached what looked like a dead end. However, there was a narrow vertical fissure, which he believed was the turnaround. So undeterred, John climbed in head first, but tragically became wedged upside down. This passageway was 10 by 18 inches, and around 400 feet or 120 meters away from the cave entrance. John Edward Jones was now trapped 100 feet underground, upside down, completely helpless. Once rescuers arrived on the scene, they considered lubricating the walls of the cave, but decided to drill away at the chunks of rock around him instead. But the awkward position made it slow and painful, and they were only able to drill away a couple of inches of rock. Furthermore, they could only see John's feet, and the low positioning of the ceiling and the narrow passageway meant that only one rescuer could actually reach him at a time. They decided to attempt a sophisticated rope pulley system, anchoring the pulleys with bolts, drilling the bolts deep into the walls of the cave. But this would take hours, while John had no choice but to remain upside down, trapped, desperately attempting to stay calm. He was upside down for hours, leading to severe difficulty breathing. His heart had to work twice as hard to work against gravity in order to push the blood flow back out of his brain. He was described as frequently alternating between panic and calmness. Rescuers actually brought in a two-way cable radio so that he could speak with his wife, who was by the entrance of the cave, to keep John calm throughout this whole ordeal. But by this point, he had been trapped for 19 hours, and he didn't have long left before his entire immune system would completely collapse. They had to act now. Finally, it was time to begin using the pulley system. 8 men worked together, tugging to maneuver him, and it seemed like it was actually working. With each pull, John was in absolute agony, so they had to take frequent pauses, but he was being lifted more and more out of his spot. Eventually, he was lifted out high enough to actually make eye contact with one of the rescuers. John was described as looking tired with red eyes, his face dirty, but he seemed surprisingly okay. The rescuer asked him,
"How are you?"
To which John replied,
"It sucks. I'm upside down. I can't believe I'm upside down. My legs are killing me."
But he said it with a smile. They decided to rest for a few more moments before continuing. John was nearly free. Tragically, as they pulled again, the arch near John's legs where the rope was tied around completely shattered. The nearest key bolt broke out and hit one of the rescuers in the face, temporarily knocking him out. This led to him releasing the rope, and the entire team fell backwards, letting go, and John fell right back down into the hole, even deeper than he was before. The rescuer suffered severe facial injuries and had to be replaced by his father, who went back into the cave and reached John, noting that his breathing was more shallow and less frequent. He wasn't responding and appeared to be unconscious, but he was still barely alive. The hero then risked his own life, lowering himself further into the crevice to attempt to tie the rope around John's waist, but he himself got stuck. However, he was lucky enough to wriggle his way back out before drilling a new hole for the pulley and leaving the cave. He was replaced by another rescuer who reached John but wasn't getting a response. Eventually, a medical professional was sent into the cave, and it was around midnight, 27 hours after becoming trapped, when John Edward Jones was pronounced dead. A total of 137 rescuers had worked tirelessly to try to save his life, to no avail. One of them claimed that it was his toughest rescue in his 29 years of being a search and rescue volunteer. The rescuers had concluded that it was far too dangerous to attempt to retrieve his body, so John's family, as well as the landowners, mutually agreed to leave him inside the cave forever. They used explosives to collapse the ceilings close to his body, and the entrance was then filled in with concrete, forever remaining his grave. A plaque was put up near the top as a memorial, but members of the spelunking community actually opposed the closure, even setting up Facebook petitions to try to save the cave. Despite previous explorers cutting through gates to gain access anyway, the explosives and cement now made it nearly impossible, meaning that the reason for this tragic event and why it continues to serve as a warning to others fascinated in this popular pastime leaves people on the outside forever seeking answers.
Hello guys, this is Rob from Seeking Answers. I really hope you enjoyed that episode. If you do want to see more, please consider donating to Patreon or clicking that join button below to become a channel member. Unfortunately, YouTube's monetization doesn't really cater to the content that we make, so we do need all the help that we can get. I also realised that not everyone is able to give a monthly payment, so there is now a PayPal link in the description if anyone does want to donate a one-off payment. Doesn't matter the amount, any amount is appreciated. And if you do a one-off payment, you'll be able to request a case for us to cover, and it will really go towards helping the channel out and continuing to grow the community. Any amount is appreciated, and it will go towards keeping this channel alive and making more content, going on location more. You will get perks in exchange, and you will help really give this channel the boost it needs. Thank you for all of your support, and tune in next week for another video.